recently, especially this year, have kept up a regular schedule on Twitch, streaming games and setting yourself challenges. Like for Crash Bandicoot month this year, you've been trying to 200% like Crash Team Racing and Crash Bash. It's quite a late hour for UK viewers, so my question to you, Caddy, about your Twitch schedule is, have you had any annoyed neighbours yet?
No. And I'll tell you why, because I didn't stream until we lived in a detached house and there was nobody on the left-hand side of us. We've got one neighbor on the right and fields on the left. So we made sure that we were not near anybody. We didn't want to be a problem for anybody. So I can be as loud as I want. And that's really good for filming and stuff. Not like you just don't bother anybody. I could be screaming at 3 a.m. and no one would ever know, which is also not great if you get stabbed.
Yeah, slightly worrying if like the whole murderer thing happens, or you know. Then again, I suppose that far out, you could get a fox knocking on, being a bit disgruntled. Do you mind? I'm trying to make some horrid noises over there in the middle of the night. That's my job.
They're actually, believe it or not, the foxes around here, and I'm actually down the main road. They're nowhere near the fields, so I don't know what they're up to there. I think they're trying to be civilized. I don't really get it.
Driving up and down in a Fiat Punto, just blasting music.
Yeah. Basil brushing their way, yeah.
Boom boxes, if you will.
Your show now needs to be cancelled because of that joke.
Yeah, I think we've can we pull the plug? No? Right, apparently we have to carry on for a certain amount of time, so that's totally fine. How's the new studio, by the way? Because you converted your garage into a studio space. How's that one working?
Well, okay. The funny thing about that is that the outside garage, when we moved to this place, that was where I moved my office there straight away. It was already partially converted into an office when we moved here. So that's where I had my video maker. And there's a period of my channel where most of my videos were all filmed and done out there. It just got too lonely. It got lonely and it sucked. So I moved back in the house and and it was annoying as well because most of my stuff that I always needed to hand was always out there. So it was like if I forgot something or I needed to jump on a computer or had to print something, I had to then make a big trip out of it, and it just wasn't fun. So that changed. So it's been sitting there as storage for a while, and then we thought, okay, well, we got a bit of money coming in, let's invest into the channel. So then, yeah, we converted the whole thing. We soundproofed and sound dampened the whole space. I moved my drums out there, and we basically just got this whole giant green screen set up. We rigged it with loads of lights and stuff. So yeah, it's now being used in a better way than it ever has been. That's probably the best way to say it.
I was going to say some of the green screen shots are in the Connect video as well, aren't they? Like you're playing around with visuals and getting to do different stuff.
It's fun. It's fun. Yeah. I'm glad that I'm able to be in a position to do it now. It's fun.
And you mentioned as well, like your family play an important part in creating the show and facilitating it and being an active, managerial roles as well. What's it like to have the entire household in on the YouTube grind?
Okay, so obviously the children are not in on the YouTube grind. We haven't got a sweatshop, but they're aware, and they've got to deal with.
They've done stunt work for your videos, okay?
They have. That's fair. They have. Yes, I've shot them, and they fall down, and yeah, you're right. And they let me pick them up when I throw them out of windows and things. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Yeah, but yeah,
I did the research.
Yeah, you did do. Yeah, you clearly did. I can't escape. I can't escape from anything. You've got all the evidence. It's like I feel like I've been taken to court. I don't like this. But anyway, you got my partner Caddicarus, who's she deals with a lot of the basically the mental load. If she keeps things running in the background, I focus entirely on the videos, and then she focuses on everything else with keeping the house running and keeping the kids happy and everything. And then I just kind of jump in whenever I can. So yeah, she wasn't there, none of this would be happening. The streams wouldn't be happening. She's a very good support net basically for me, and she keeps me sane, which is really nice. But yeah, if anything, most of the problem isn't the word, but most of it is you got to deal with being a dad figure at a school where kids maybe know who you are, and that can be a bit weird sometimes.
Yeah.
And luckily our kids have got their heads screwed on. They can deal with if anyone starts picking on it. Like, it hasn't happened yet, but if anyone starts, they know what to do. They know what to say. They know not to be embarrassed about it. You know. But the original novelty when I first met them, and it was like, oh look, I do YouTube for a living. The original novelty that wore off years ago. It's like, oh, it's just, oh, okay, don't worry, like Caddy and Mummy aren't arguing. It's just for the video. Okay, they're not screaming at the phone. They're not arguing with the gas man. They're doing a video. Okay, so yeah, it's fun.
You're saying about the novelty wearing off. Did you feel like you had sort of like a cachet of cool for a while, and then when it hit, when you realized, oh, it's not that special anymore, were you like, oh no?
Well, the thing, if I felt like it was if I felt like it was special to begin with, I probably would have felt like that. But I've always known it's been dumb and stupid, and I've been very lucky with what I do. So, yeah. I reveled in the cool for a little bit, but then you start realizing as they get older. And they started watching YouTube completely independently, and then you start seeing the stuff that they watch, and then you realize this isn't me. This isn't what I do. This isn't. I don't eat food on I don't eat food on camera, and I don't do $1 million mansion tours in the middle of California. This isn't me. So at that point, I realized I was out of my depth. I was like, nah, okay, you guys can have that. I'll have mine. That's fine.
I had that too. Uncle Chris was the height of power when he was talking to puppet dogs on kids' TV, but then they discovered the Disney Channel 2 channels up. So, less pressure, I suppose. Going back to the early days, when you started the channel, you focused a lot more on PlayStation 1 titles overall. What made you want to dive into content in the first place, and why the PS1?
That is because when I started, I was my first game video. I was 18, I think. How old was I? Pretty sure.
You were tiny. You were tiny.
I was small. I was tiny. I started uploading videos in general when I was 17, and then May 2012. So it would have been June 2012 when I was 18. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how dates. Yeah. So my first ever game video, I was 17, but then a month later I was 18. But yeah, back then, like all the big people, whether it be at the time, I have to stress at the time, Peanut Butter Gamer, JonTron, AVGN, all the big names back in the day, even like the Completionist to a degree, and all that kind of stuff. Like all of them were doing what they grew up with and what they're nostalgic for, which was Nintendo. And I noticed that the more you looked around YouTube's landscape at the time, the more I realized all of these people at the time were in their mid-20s when I was in my late teens. I was born in 94. I grew up with PlayStation. I didn't have any Nintendo things until the Game Boy Advance in like 2001, 2002. So like I could provide a new perspective, I suppose. Yeah, because everybody was doing Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, and everybody was and the audience was like really resonating with that. And I just figured, well, there's an untapped market here because we're the young generation, we're the up and coming YouTubers, and and obviously that doesn't last, does it? Because now people are talking about like Outlast and saying, "Oh, I remember playing Outlast when I was 7," and it's like, oh, I'm only 26 and now I feel like an old man. Okay, all right. When people come up to you and they say, "Oh, dude, I've been watching you since I was in primary school," that's when you start feeling your age. It's like, I'm only 26. I should not be feeling old, but I do now. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel seen right now. So thank you very much for making me realize I'm not alone on that one. But that's a really savvy way to think of it as well. Like for age 17, 18, you're like, you had a USP. You were like, there's something that is not being done here.
For years I was cool. I was known as at the time I was known as the British JonTron that did PS1 stuff. That was my kind of unofficial thing, and that came with its own problems. Sometimes it was like, oh cool, it's another person like that, and sometimes it was, oh, you're ripping it off. It's like, well, I'm not. Like, if you can find one joke I ripped off from somebody, then that is by definition ripping off. But if I didn't, then I don't know.
I completely understand like trying out new formats and new shows, because at that point you're in the creative space and you're able to make, Caddicarus, and you're like, right, I figured out the formula. What do I do next? What was behind the decision at the time to pull back on the shows? And because at first you reduced the schedule, didn't you? And then you narrowed it down completely just to Caddicarus.
It was just mess. It was a mess. There's nothing else to say. I don't remember when I stopped doing my 500 other shows. I think in my entire span on YouTube, I think I've done like 7 or 8 different shows, and it's a storied history, but it's not one that lasts. It was definitely quantity over quality, and that's not because I didn't put all the effort and the passion that I did into everything else. It's just because when there was a time when I was uploading 3 videos a week, and there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can. It doesn't matter how passionate or how good you are at your job. There's only so much you can do for 3 videos in 1 week, including the main show that you're known for that comes out at the end of the week. So there was only so much you could do, and I just kind of had to take a bit of a step back and think, well, numbers haven't been going up. They haven't been going down, but they haven't been going up. And like, is appealing to too many people actually hurting me? Would I be better off just canning everything and focusing on one thing? And then, yeah, very, very eventually it was like, okay, well, how about we make it just a weekly thing? And then, oh, how about every 2 weeks? And then I'll throw in other bits and pieces in the meantime. And that still wasn't good enough, because I was still doing the same kind of structure, the same kind of idea, the same kind of thing. And it wasn't until the start of 2020 when I realized I need to completely change everything. And I'm so, so glad I did that.
Do you get much fan mail or tweets and what have you requesting the return of at least the word cure? Because I still say it. Like, it's a thing I still say. My wife and I will jokingly use that as a little inflection in the house. And if your answer to this is you never bring it back, I will have to terminate the interview here and have a cry.
It's not about the word is still very prevalent on my streams whenever someone donates, because that is a very cure-y kind of moment. But oh, wait a minute, wait. I'm sorry. Give me a second. Just give me a second. There is, I think you'll like this. Wait a minute. I don't know if this was me that started this. Oh no. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so back in 2013, you can look this up yourself right now. You can look this up. But back in 2013, and I guess this must have been me causing this, because it was around 2013 where that character and when I started saying that first appeared. But if you go to Urban Dictionary, the word cure, exactly as I spell it, the definition for it is cure, British slang for incredible dick-sucking joy, or so good I jizzed myself. How to use it in a sentence. Sarah finally went down on me last night. Cure. That's what Urban Dictionary think. So, yeah, that wasn't me. That's what they think.
Maybe just for the sake of sponsors and stuff, use it less. Just slightly.
If anything, though, it's not the phrase, or like it's not any of that I've. It just, like, if it's not relevant, I won't use it. That's the thing. Like, I have a lot of running jokes is the wrong thing. I have gags which I will reuse, but I'll only do it if it makes sense and is funny. Like bringing my Sonic outfit back out, or bringing my evil twin baddie out. Because if you rely on it too much, you end up just creating a universe of characters and like a cinematic universe, and that's old YouTube. That's like 2009 YouTube. It's and I'm embarrassed to admit that's what I used to rely on quite a lot. Like there were running plot lines throughout most of my videos back when I was much younger, and it's so stupid, and I wish I didn't do it. But you know, you can't hide from your past. But like, okay, behind you right now, I can see that my sponsorship of part of the video is going on.
Yeah.
There's an example of a character. He's not even a character. He's my face in a kite. And I figured, well, I used him for a joke once, and I thought it was pretty damn disturbing and quite funny. But I don't want to keep. I don't want him to become like. I don't want him to become. Oh, you see him and you roll your eyes, and then there's like a back and forth that goes on for like a minute. Like anything that I reuse has to be very brief. Very again, it has to have a purpose. You can't just reference it, because then that's just catchphrases for the sake of catchphrases, and I don't do that, and I don't like doing that. So, but with him, it was like I really like the kite, and I like the idea of him just being at my face with my fingers and like doll's shoes taped to it. I want to use him more. How do I use him more? And I figured, oh my god, let's use him as my sponsorship guy, and he's going to be called Spons. He spons the kite, and it's just me on a kite. And so it makes the sponsorship more entertaining. It brings the character back for no reason. It means that he can pop up, and it's like he pops up and people will look at him and go, oh shit, there's a sponsorship coming. But also it's me as a kite. So it's funny. And it's like, yeah, so I think it all worked out in the end.
As long as you don't get to the point where he's got a law movie that you're getting crowdfunded, then that's too far.
Exactly, that's the thing. That's the thing. You could do that. You could do that with like 2013 to 2016 era me, and it's like I hate that. I hate that I went down that road. But you're young and you don't know what you're doing, so yeah. You think that catchphrase, like I was like you'd be thinking of things to say, so that like people that you think people would say it in the comments, and you weren't. It wasn't a conscious thing. It just became a subconscious thing. Like, oh my god, I want more people to comment, and I want more people to like what I'm doing, and I want more positive thing to go around. I know. How about I make a one word joke in this video and just keep saying it? And yeah, it's just it's weird. It's
when
horrible.
It's organic. When it's organic, it stands the test of time a lot more because it's come from a genuine place of like actual joke delivery, humor, reference to the work, reference to the content.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, I've got in my iPhone, I've got a note in my notes that is dedicated to all the things that I think I could redo and reuse for any kind of moment, and I've got, I don't know, maybe 30, 25 bullet points of things that I could reuse in terms of like voice styles and like characters, quote unquote, and they never get touched because they're never relevant and they won't fit. But when they do, that's when they work, and it's quite fun. But like, yeah, back in the day, it would have been a case of, oh, I don't know what to put in the script here. I know, let's bring him back for no reason and make him say the thing that people like for no reason. And
you
that
either
sucks.
die a
That's
hero or you live long enough to see yourself become channel awesome. So
exactly.
Caddicarus has been your main show focus for a few years. Could you explain to any viewers who are like, I recognise that face and or beard, but where from? What Caddicarus the show is?
Explain what it is? This is a problem because every time I get asked this, Keris usually answers for me. I because I don't know. I just write shit down on a bit of paper and then hopefully people find it entertaining. But okay, so old me, I have no idea how to describe that. It's quite self-indulgence, not the word. That's not the word, but it's old me is very, I'm taking it a bit more seriously, and I'm trying to present an opinion, and I'm trying to be like, oh, is this 20-year-old game that no one cares about any good anymore, or is it bad? It's like, I don't know. It's just, you're already beating a dead horse, so it seems redundant actually being critical about stuff like that from 20, 30 years ago. So old me is, that's why I don't ever recommend ever going back to old me. It's very, very dated, very old YouTube reviewery kind of thing. Nowadays, though, I don't consider myself a reviewer anymore, and I don't write any of my stuff in the same way that I used to, in the sense that there's no structure around, oh, there's an episode about one game, and the whole angle I'm going to take is I'm going to discover if it's good or if it's bad, and if it's good, why is it good? If it's bad, why is it bad? No, now it's just like, I've got, like, oh my god, okay, so, like, I've got this, right, I've got fucking Toy Story on the Zizzle. This is the Zizzle. It's a Toy Story thing on the Zizzle, and it's like, you can see Why would I need to be critical? Why would I need to review it? You can see. So the angle of the show now is have a load of stuff and just make as many jokes as possible and have fun. And if you can see why it's bad, it's obvious. I don't need to insult your intelligence. So the idea around my show now is that if you have no idea what I'm talking about and you've never played a video game in your life, it doesn't matter. You can still enjoy it. That's the main goal of my show. It's just to entertain. That's all I care about. If I can draw people in based on that and for how long the videos are, then I feel like I've done a good job. But as far as what they're about, they're not really about anything. It's just, oh, I've got a massive load of games that are maybe obscure or they were expensive to buy, and like I was never gonna dedicate a full video talking about most of these anyway, even in the past. So one after the other, just kind of push them out the way, slap them in the face. What next thing? Is it good? Yeah, all right, okay, next thing. Is it bad? Well, what do you think? Next thing. And then there's an ultimate conclusion at the end, which isn't a conclusion. It's just me going, you know what? In conclusion, I don't give a fuck. It's fine, whatever. So it's hard to explain. I don't really know. Because that's the thing. When people ask me at conventions and stuff quite a lot, like, how do I go about writing a video? Or like, how do you come up with ideas? And it's like, I just sit down and write. And even when I used to do the review videos on the Caddicarus show, even then I just sat down and write, even when it came to writing good points and bad points. But now more than ever, it is just a case of I've got a stupid game here or a good game here, but how can I make it funny and fit it into a bigger video and mean that if you've never seen this video game or you've never seen me before, you can still enjoy me talking about it.
You might learn something, you'll definitely laugh, and you'll come back next time for another one.
Yeah, that's the goal, yeah.
Yeah. Your Oddworld fandom is kind of exemplified in your frankly god-tier tattoos.
Oh, yes, absolutely. There they are, yeah.
Why did you get the Abe-adjacent ink?
The Abe-adjacent ink? That sounds really dirty. The Abe-adjacent ink is... Exodus is like I've always wanted a tattoo, and Exodus is one of my favorite games of all time, and Abe is one of my favorite characters of all time, and Lorne Lanning is one of my favorite people of all time, and he owes me another fancy dinner. Don't you, Lorne? So that's yeah. So basically. I wanted a tattoo for the longest time, and I was trying to think of like what would I do, and I didn't want it just to be a pointless thing. I mean, obviously a tattoo is for you, like it's not for anybody else. It's for you. It's art. It's art on your own skin for your own sake because you want it. In the same way that you have a different haircut or something. So I was thinking, I don't want to be cliche. I don't want to have like. I wanted to do something that I didn't see many people doing, and I wanted to be a bit braver and have it on something like your hands. And it's like, because not many people do that. They do it on their arms and stuff so that they can hide it when they go to work or something. And I'm lucky enough to not be in that position. So I was like, I can go a little bit more creative. So I figured, hey, how about the scars on Abe? Because that would be because it's like we've both got hands, so let's do that. So then it's not just, at that point, it's not just, oh, it's an image of a thing in a game. It's, oh, it's essentially like, it's not cosplay, but it's essentially like I am taking something that, it's a mirror. It's like, that is something that's in the game on his hands, on the correct hands, and you can copy that. And I found that a very cool idea for a tattoo. But I haven't done the chest one. I don't think I will ever do the chest one. That's too much.
Give it time. Give it time. It'll gnaw away, and
maybe
you'll be like,
5 years time. Maybe I'll change my mind. Yeah, we'll see.
Just if you're going for further body modification, don't like stitch up your lips. We don't need that. That'd just be too.
Oh
far.
No, my moustache hair does that for me. It's fine.
Just tangle it in.
Yeah, not even kidding. I had to snip it before I came on today. It grows faster than any other hair on my face. It is very irritating.
So, Abe, Oddworld, Crash Bandicoot, sorry. Cash Banuka, there are certain franchises that you celebrate and highlight a lot on your channel and in real life and on your body. Are there any other sort of gaming greats that you've not made a video about, but you'd love to get to at some point?
Oh, good question. Honestly, like if you're talking about the heavy hitters, aside from Final Fantasy, but then I have no history with Final Fantasy, so I can't really I can't say that that's something that I desperately want to do because I don't know Final Fantasy. So, but most of the heavy hitters, it is in my channel's history, which is a little bit of a shame because it's if I could do them in my new style, I would much rather do it that way. But like the big ones, most of the Pixar games that I played for ages when I was a kid, Ape Escape, Medieval, all of that stuff has been covered. So like, I've done what I've hit the franchises that I've wanted to hit over the years, like desperately, because that was when I was younger and I was like, oh my God, what should I do a video about next? Because I've only got a week to think about it. And then it was like, okay, well, let's do that one then. And then, so that was where a million ideas were flowing out at once because it was like, I was trying to figure out how to fit the month's video schedule in. So there were so many different games so quickly, one after the other. And that because of that, I always went to my favorite games first. And that's why the retrospectors were a thing. That's why I started looking at Tekken. And that's when I started looking at, well, Crash to begin with. And that's why I started looking at Sly Cooper and all that stuff. It'd be cool to go to Ratchet and Clank at some point, I guess. And I think as well, I mean, whoever's been following my channel for a long time will know that it's been my long-term ambition and my goal to get to 1 million subs so I can finally talk about anything Spyro related. So I've talked about Spyro Orange, but that doesn't count. So like, yeah, the actual. So I suppose if anything, it'll be that, but that's up to the audience. So yeah, Spyro, but it's up to you. Without you, it ain't happening.
Purple scaly carrot in front of them. That sounds
wrong. Yeah.
So going back to Crash, I know you're a fan of Crash Team Racing. You've recently gone for the 200% during this year's Crash Bandicoot month on your Twitch channel.
101% actually, 101%
on that one. So 101% now. Okie doke. See, this shows you how far I've got with it. It's one of my favorite games. And I don't think I've ever come close to getting anything beyond sort of like a 60% completion on any Crash game, ever.
It's quite depressing. If you just go from the start to the end without getting any of the optional stuff, you finish it at like 46%. It's quite sad.
Yeah, it's odd because you spend. I remember as a kid spending hours in. Probably would have been Warped, like just trying to find other gems and everything, and thinking, how much more is there to do? And of course, like back then, if you wanted to find out, you needed to be buying magazines or like the playthrough, like the playbooks that you could get like with whole completion guides in it.
But the one of course you get God.
Well, there is that too, but not all of us can get. People say the Soul series is the pinnacle. No. It's always been Crash. No. It always will be.
It's always been Crash. Have you not seen that review of the Insane trilogy? It's the Dark Souls of platformers. God, I don't know if you were aware of this.
They? Yeah, yes, someone said that. Just it could be tough, but it's not. I don't even know. Then again, Toys for Bob did try to like take you through the ringer with number 4 because that was. Yeah, it was like, here's a great game. Now play it again 5 more times per each level, and then even it's like, okay, this is
and don't die, and find every hidden thing, which is so hidden that you need a magnifying glass to see it. Yeah, not fun.
But with Crash Team Racing,
what were you saying about CTR? Yeah. What were you saying about CTR?
So like that's one of your faves, right? Crash Team Racing, the OG, the original.
Yes,
the pre-microtransactions version. It was one of my first 2 games for the PlayStation myself. So I've played that more than any other sort of title over the years. I've always bought another version or a download. If we could go head to head, 1-on-1 right now in the original CTR, which course do you pick and which racer to absolutely thrash me?
Okay, well, if you're talking the original, Tiny's my guy. I wanted to be Tiny for my stream playthrough, but then the stream came through and said Dingodile, which then ended up with a massive load of jokes throughout the entire stream about him being a paedophile and him having a hotline called Pedodial, and you know, these things happen. You can't control it. But usually, my go-to guy is Tiny. He was my go-to when Nitro Fueled first came out on the adventure mode. I'm a very, very. I don't know if it's because I'm used to it at this point, but I always go for the high speed, low turn, middling acceleration characters. And those stats. And it's cool that you can do Nitro Fueled and pick the engine type as well as the character, so you can pick whoever you want, but also have the engine that you're used to. But yeah, I can't do any other thing in Crash Team Racing. How my head prepares for the drifting and how I prepare for going into turns and taking lines, that's all based on the high speed, low turn characters. So that's just who I pick. It makes things difficult sometimes, but that's who I'm used to. So Tiny Tiger would be my guy. And he says funny things during the race as well. And he also looks a bit like a really, really overripe pineapple in the game, which is like he's a pineapple with teeth. He's really, really hideous in the game, and I love it.
And shoulders, so, yeah. Big old snout.
Yeah. So that's who I would pick. The track, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. Some of the more fun ones to do are probably well, that's the thing. Do I want to go with fun, or do I want to go with I want to try and beat you? Probably Cortex Castle.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because they've got that the little shortcut at the end of the lap, and you can go pretty fast. They've got a lot of 90-degree turns. Music's fun. The visuals are fun. Yeah, I'd probably say that one. But there are a load of good tracks. I'm just trying to think now.
You've got me there, because that is one of my least favorite ones for numerous
there
reasons.
You go then. Okay, Tiny Tiger on Cortex Castle.
I could be terrible with corners. I could be terrible with corners, and that track's got spiders. That doesn't help. So there is that element. I mean, he really should get those cleared out. And you would thrash me in terms of technique, because I just go for engine, not because I'm good at playing. I just like when he says "one for the road" in the original, and it just makes me smile every time he says it. Which he didn't say in the remake.
Okay. He's decent turning, high acceleration, decent speed. I don't know, or like kind of second worst speed below per and polar. I can't remember. I can't remember the stats.